everyone. I'm Tennille Irby, mother of 4, 3 boys, 1 girl.
And I'm Thea Monyee, mother of 3 girls.
And I am Nekisha Killings, also mother of 3 girls.
And welcome to the first episode of Them Black Mamas. Okay, we don't have a little catchy saying yet because this is our first show, so just hang with us and we'll pull it together. Let me tell you something about this first podcast, okay, people? You may hear some background noise. You may hear people typing because we have not figured everything out. We just knew that at this moment in our history, there needed to be a place where Black mothers can come and talk about themselves and Black motherhood. So don't get jaded with the mistakes and the background noise, okay? Focus on what we're saying. I may have had to change headphones in the middle of the podcast.
May not have happened.
So my sound at the beginning may be different from the sound at the end. But just get focused. You know how, like, in America's Top Model, the second season, Tyra's hair
better.
And like the set got better. But the first season, it was a little bit seedy. That's what this podcast is. Next show, we'll have better weave. We'll have better sound quality and background stuff. And the transitions might be a little bit smoother. This podcast right now may not even have any music.
It's very possible. But we are going to get there. It took us a lot to even agree on the title. So you can imagine the catchy saying.
Do we want to talk about the name?
We may or may not be in agreement yet.
Okay.
Wait,
Everyone knows that the way the new people talk, the young folks.
Okay, let's just go back just a little bit.
We ain't young.
In starting the podcast,
yes,
I go to all types of theater. Good theater, bad theater. But the one thing I understand about Black folks is before Black folks spend money, they want to know what they're spending money on, especially if you're new. So there are plays called, Tyrone's cheating.
Tyrone done left me.
Tyrone done left me. So you know what you're going to see.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's just call the show what it is. The Black Mamas.
Uh-huh.
And then Thea.
Yes, I take credit. I'm proud.
After the election of Donald Trump said,
Here we go.
Must be Black. And so she said we shouldn't say the.
No.
We should say
Dem. D-E-M.
And tell them why we couldn't use duh.
Wait, why couldn't we use duh?
We couldn't use duh because duh was too ratchet. But dem.
Right. Okay, so listen. Okay, in the Twitter world, dem is like, it's like black. It's like blackening something. Like dem, what do they do? What's the one, the guy that's went and hiding about the book? You like the show with the white people killing each other.
Game of Thrones.
Yes, Dem Thrones, right? It's called Dem Thrones.
Right.
And so, I think that's how we come up with our own Black stank on it.
Okay.
But duh is a little bit dated too. And I do want us to be able to connect with the young folk. And I feel like if we do duh, it's kind of like if we put yo Black mamas, and they would be like, ooh, wait, how old are they? like, should I refer this podcast to my grandmother?
Oh, ouch.
And I don't want, right.
So I'm fine with the name Nekisha.
So I don't love it.
But admittedly, she doesn't love anything when you first propose it. It takes about, I would say, a good 6 months to work in.
It doesn't take that long, but it does take me, a number of exposures to the thing before I decide, okay, fine, I like it a little bit now.
Okay.
So I don't know, Black Mamas, it wasn't grammatically correct. I just didn't understand. I don't get it, but I'm also kind of old, and I hear you saying, the young people will get it, and that's what the Twitterers are doing. So
The Twitterers.
That was jokes. I don't say Twitterers for real.
Okay.
But
just
people will take you seriously, Nekisha. They will judge you.
I will. Don't judge me, y'all. I know that the Twitterers is not a word. Listen, I'm
so far, I think I seem like the most attuned. Just the fact that I came up with dem, I think our listening audience was like, oh, that bitch is on Twitter. And she is.
That is yet to be seen. Now, when they start clowning us about this name, we're going to be like, yeah, Thea was not as in tune as we thought.
You know what? I would go down with the shit. I would go down with the shit.
Yeah, I'm completely okay with them black mamas.
But that's because you're also okay with plays like Tyrone Done Left Me for My Sister.
And also because I'm from the South. I mean, so I'm completely fine with them black mamas. But
are you taking my South cred?
Now,
I got South cred.
I have none. I'm constantly being educated on the South.
Florida. Florida is not like the South.
Parts
though.
of
You know
Florida
what I'm saying?
parts of Florida are real country, and my people are from North Carolina. Now, for real, we country.
But you're from Orlando. That's not the country part of Florida.
That don't even sound right.
Yeah,
I
from,
don't even know anything
Disneyland.
about that, and that just didn't sound right. So, as the LA person, when I think Orlando, I think old retired white people. Is that correct?
Not
you can check
entirely.
Me.
Partially. I think Disneyland. So therefore, I don't think South. I think
World,
Disneyland.
Disney World.
Okay. See what I'm saying? See the people in the South, it's like, oh, I'm going to Disneyland. We don't be like the differentiation between Disneyland and Disney World. It's just,
Listen.
So, and how much time did you spend in North Carolina?
See, now you're doing too much. Listen. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So I was born there, and I go back frequently. At least
I
once
never
a
knew
year.
you were born there. I thought you were born in Orlando. I didn't know that. Okay.
I was born.
Well, what I think is great is that
Kakalaki.
you all are fighting over staking claim to a state that has horrific transgender laws. Just for the sake of claiming the South cred, I think it's awesome. I think this is great. This is like we're going to bring it to...
I want to claim my southernness, but not necessarily all that's happening in North Carolina.
So you want to claim the black southernness, but not the white. I got you. So there's a separate southernness.
Oh, there is
for black people and white people.
Yeah,
yes.
There's a black Southern and there's definitely a white Southern. But I just want to let the record show that South Carolina doesn't have any transgender laws. Now we've done some.
Well, they probably don't even use the word transgender yet, so that could be part of that.
That's not true. I resent that assumption.
Have they seceded yet?
Oh,
not yet.
No, Trump won. So
okay, so they're not leaving the nation. They're not leaving the nation.
No, I think our governor is going to be.
That was close.
Our governor is going to be the
U.S. ambassador.
Yeah.
So,
but I just wanted the record to show about our transgender laws, even though we have some other terrible transgressions.
You do.
Yeah,
you do.
I just wanted to let the record show about that. Okay.
Well, so we came through with 55 electoral votes, so I'm just going to
I'm
stand
playing
here
California
in
for
my
that
blue
reason.
ass state, and
I'm okay being in this blue ass state right now. I'm okay over here.
Wait, let me tell you how blue we are, though. Can we talk about how blue we are? I got a memo yesterday, right, that the California legislator has sent out to all the CSUs and stuff, that all the Cal State system schools, that they will not be reimbursing travel to certain states because of their their lack of inclusiveness. So North Carolina was front and center, we don't even think about going to a training.
But
in North Carolina.
North Carolina is getting a new governor, and so that transgender law may be pulled back. They actually elected a Democratic governor.
Oh, cool.
And that's one of the reasons, because the transgender law really, really, I mean, if we're going to be real about it, a lot of people are upset about it because, of course, it's discrimination and injustice, but also a lot of money was pulled from the state in terms of people who were planning to have things there are no longer planning to do that. But they're getting a new governor, so I think that law could be repealed, fairly
that would be
quickly.
A start. I think we would consider re-engaging them. Maybe we have to meet about that. We don't just make knee-jerk decisions out here.
That's so funny.
But I will get that full list to you so you all know what states we ain't fucking with. And
let me know.
I will.
I think that's good, though. So as of now, we are going to be dim black mamas.
We're gonna stay dim black mamas because I am one that goes with the team. You know what I mean? I will take one for the team.
Insert side eye music. Insert side eye.
I knew Crystal was going to do it.
Let me rephrase, because that's not entirely true. But I do trust the creative
was that
ear
a Rick James moment?
of you two.
That was a Rick James moment.
Okay.
That was a Rick James moment.
So just a little bit about our show. This is a podcast for us and by us. All three of us are mothers raising Black children in a crazy world at a crazy time. So we hope to cover topics important and specific to Black mothers. We are on social media.
Follow us on Facebook at Dim Black Mamas.
Or hit us up on Twitter at Dim Black Mamas.
And on Instagram at Them Black Mamas as well. You can hit us up with your thoughts about the show, our topics, or just to show us some love. So I do want to talk just a little bit about our family structures. As I said, I am the mother of 4. We have 3 boys and 1 girl, but we're also a blended family. We have a 19-year-old girl, 16-year-old boy, 7-year-old boy, and a 2-year-old boy. Our 19-year-old daughter and our 16-year-old son. Those are my stepchildren, but they live with us full time. Well, our daughter is in college at FAMU. Shout out to the Rattlers. She's loving it. So my family is a blended family. I was raised for most of my life by a single mom. I'm the youngest of 5 children. My parents got married when I was 3. They divorced when I was 11. And my father was very present in my life while my parents were married. But when my parents got divorced, he quickly faded out of the picture. And my interpretation of that is because I think he was really hurt and angry at my mother, that he couldn't see past that in order to father. And oddly enough, being a stepmom actually brought me to that realization. So that's a little bit about my family structure. But I do see my stepchildren as my children because they live with us full time. And also because of the relationship that I've built with them. But they do not see me as their mother. They see me as their stepmother. So they call me by my first name. And I'm completely okay with that because it's not my job to take their mother's place. It's my job to give them an experience and support. So that's a little bit about Crystal's family structure.
You want to go next, Nekisha?
Sure, I'll go. So I have 3 little girls. I have the youngest full crew of the set, and my girls are 4, 6, and 8.
Ooh,
or will be by the time this airs. It's crazy. And I was raised in a 2-parent household. Both mother and father were there. All of my life, they got together before I was born. But as is often the case, especially with people my age, my father was super old school and was all about providing for his family. So he, took care of us. He worked very hard. He still to this day gets up like 4 o'clock in the morning to work. So very present father. He was there every day, slept there every night, my whole life. But they're still together. My parents are all these years later, 40-something years together. And my husband and I hope that we can hit that one day as well. Oh, yeah, I'm married to the military. I'm married to the military.
Oh, I'm married too. I'm married too. Forgot to say that. Yeah, I'm married.
Why you want to throw that in like that? Oh, I'm married too. Just so y'all know.
Because he's going to hear the show and he's going to...
Because she messed up.
Right. Nekisha said that she was married. Yes, I am married too. We've been together for 10 years.
So, Thea's family structure. God, I don't even remember where y'all started. So we have 3 children in our household. We are also a blended family. This is my second marriage. From my first marriage, I have a 13-year-old and 11-year-old. So that's where I am in the preteen phase of things. Ooh. Really adjusting. Takes a lot. And then my husband has a 9-year-old who also lives with us full time, similar to Crystal's family. And Crystal and I have this conversation all the time because Crystal does often she doesn't differentiate when she speaks like stepchildren or children. And I'm a little further back in the process than Crystal is.
And that's so okay.
I think for me, because she's younger, we're still setting lines and boundaries that help her to understand what's happening in her family structure, because her family structure is pretty broken right now. And so just to give her the clarity and just to reassure her that I know the difference between, who her mother is and not trying to replace her mother. I keep the language there, but I also remind her that I'm her Miss Thea, which she called me. I've tried to get her to call me Thea, but she met me as Miss Thea because her family's from St. Louis, and so they call everybody Miss and Mister. So she will be out in public, and she'll be like, Miss Thea, and I'm like, hey, it's kind of embarrassing at this point. You could just say Thea. But, it's become like a term of endearment from her. And it's very difficult. I think whenever there's a situation where there's like a forced separation between families, it's very difficult to navigate, especially for such a young child. And then I come from a family structure where I did have a 2-parent home most of my life. I had I would have thought if you would ask me that I had like the Cosby experience, but I mean like the good Cosby, not the bad Cosby. Not that one.
Mm-hmm. You had the Huxtable experience.
The Huxtable, the sweaters and pudding pops. Right, I had that.
Yeah, the Huxtable experience.
Yeah, up until a certain point, and then when I turned 8, a lot of the underlying issues of substance abuse and violence came out in full force. And so the next 8 years were really, really turbulent. And it's been fascinating to see how that plays out in my life and in my home and in our family even today. I have a sister that I grew up with. She's 4 years younger than me. I'm sure she'll be the topic of conversation because everybody on here knows her. And I have a half brother who is probably more similar to me in some ways, but who I didn't live with. And so I have the experience of having a sibling that we didn't grow up together and like forming a bond that's more by choice than what you have when you grow up with the sibling. I've been married 2 years now. My previous marriage was 7 years. And
have you guys only been married 2 years?
Right, because he will also be a topic on this show, just so you know, and maybe not in the way he would like. But he brings a lot of energy to the table, so it may feel like 4 years. It may feel like double. It's like dog years, whatever you think it is. It's probably 7 times that amount in the amount of energy.
It does feel like a lot longer.
It feels like a lot longer.
Now we've been together we've been together for close to 6 years, but we've been married for 2.
Okay.
And then my first marriage, that 7-year chop that some people survive, some people don't. We didn't survive it. And but I do have the experience of co-parenting from the divorce standpoint as well, which that's been going well. We're in a rhythm. So so that we bring some crazy convoluted dynamics to the table, but that's good because we're here to show people that family structures are not linear.
And family structures are a process. I'm the youngest of 5, but I didn't grow up with my oldest brother. He's my dad's son. And I didn't meet him until probably, I feel like my earliest memory of him is 1st or 2nd grade, but it's really blurry. So I had the experience of not growing up with a sibling and what it's like to try to form that bond with a sibling who doesn't live in your house. But I do think family structures are a process, and it did take me a process in identifying my stepchildren the way that I do. But I think that comes from my dad because my family was a blended family. My oldest brother is my dad's son who didn't live with us. My oldest sister and my other brother have a different father than I do, but my father saw them as his kids, and they had his last name for a long time. And so, my sister, when my dad's sister would take us during the summer, she would take all 4 of us when we had piano lessons or tailor-made clothes. My dad's sister would pay for all of us. So my dad's family saw them as their kids also. And so I think that's where that comes in for me in seeing, that's how I grew up. The stepchildren were just seen as your children. And my brother, my mom's son, is closer to my dad's son than we actually are. So they talk every day. He goes to every single one of my nephew's games. He's very involved in my nephew's life. So yeah, so I do think family structures are a process, and like you said, we do bring a lot of
Lord
interesting...
Jesus.
Yeah.
I think Nekisha's family structure is interesting too, because you are a family that moves around a lot. You're a military family.
We
So
are.
I think that's interesting, and
And you homeschool.
You homeschool. So like moving your place from place, because when we think of families, like they're supposed to be stable and have stability. So like how do you keep mental, emotional, and spiritual stability if you're always physically moving your family from place to place? So I think that's an interesting dynamic that we bring to the table.
We'll get into that deeper at some point, I'm sure, but it has a lot to do with making sure something's consistent, that you can just always come back to and be centered by. I think homeschooling helps to do that for us, because, we always have each other. We always have each other no matter where we are. So real quickly, I'll touch on growing up. My family structure was, of course, my parents, and then I had a sibling, may she rest in peace, who was 4 years older than me. One of the things when I talk about homeschooling and why being close to each other is important to me is because she and I didn't get along most of our lives. Or 4 years, those 4 years were huge.
Baby,
when we were growing up.
Are.
Huge. I always wanted to be cool, wanted to be with her, but it was just two of us. I think it's different in a household with 5, Crystal. It was just two of us.
I think you're right.
Having that gap.
And I think the 4
we just
years
didn't have
makes a
anything in
difference.
common. Yeah,
I think
it's huge. It's the difference between elementary and middle and high. And, you know what I mean? It's
that was
huge.
me and my sister. We're 4 years too, and it was like a lifetime.
And see, Tosh is, I don't know if I'm supposed to say her name, but it's out there. My sister, the sibling that's closest to me is only 2 years older than me. And then my brother is 7 years older. My oldest sister is 8 years older. So they were more like mother and father figures. So that 4-year difference is like...
it's like a lifetime.
It was a big deal.
Even in my home, 3 years has made a big difference, because Lexington is turning 9 now, but Taya and Talanya are like 11 and 13. They're in middle school, and she's a third grader. And so sometimes I have to explain it to my husband in grades. I'd be like, would you, if you were a 6th grader, play with a 3rd grader? Probably not.
No.
Yeah. And so with nobody in between to bridge that gap, with no like sibling that's 1 or 2 years older, you've got that 4-year spread. It's huge. We, it was impactful. She was like I worshipped her as my, idol, my big sister idol. I can literally remember the 2 or 3 times in my childhood where she thought something I said was funny.
Yeah.
Like it was important to me.
Well, I think my sister, who's 8 years older than me, like loved up on me and still loves up on me to this day. Like I become a child around her. Like, she buys me stuff. She takes me shopping. She makes sure I'm okay. When she comes to my house, I get out of the kitchen, but my sister that's 2 years older than me, growing up, I mean, she tortured me. Like it was... But I never told because like you said,
pennies in the mashed potatoes. Pennies in the mashed potatoes.
Tell you, man.
Yes.
She did some stuff. And when I bring it up now, she's like, I don't remember doing. And like we're great now. You know what happened when she went to college? We became so much closer. And like when I went to college, 2 years after her, she would look out for me. So we became a lot closer. I was like you. I always wanted to be close to her. But she's like, get away from me. Like, you all up on me. So, growing up, we weren't close. But nobody could do anything to me. Like she was going to protect me. Yeah.
That I can say. I have to mention that I also have a couple of other step siblings. My father had...
Which is so crazy to me. I've known
a marriage
Nekisha,
and family. Yeah.
I've known Nekisha for years. And like last year, she was like, yeah, I have another step. I was like, what?
Yeah, I have a couple of sisters and brother that we learned about in recent
Why did
years.
you say it like that? Or is he a real person? Is he a robot?
He is a real living, breathing person who we learned about in recent years.
We have a brother.
That's how I'll frame that up. So, anyway, I do have 2 sisters who came about well before my father and mother met. And they live in North Carolina still, and I visit. I see them when we go back home.
Who came about before my mother and father met? Who came about?
They came about.
Now in my husband's family, it's so different and that's one of the things I love about his family and him is that like they don't see those separations either. Even like if like cousins are brought in, like siblings or whatever, like, and I do wonder if it has something to do with like, you know, they're from, you know, St. Louis and like, you know, I growing up out here in LA, I think things are a little bit more, there's a little less of that sort of family structure and idea, and the families aren't as big. You know, we don't have a lot of big families out here in LA. You know, if you got 2 kids, you're doing it. You know, so but I see that with them. Like, there's no distinction between brothers that are half brothers or step brothers. Like, it's very you know, everyone's family, which I think is beautiful, you know?
I think so too.
So that's a little bit about our family structures and the dynamics that we bring to the table. And, you know, we'll probably have a lot of topics stemming from our own family structures. So we're going to move into what's good. So what's good with everybody? Nekisha, what's good with you?
You know what? I for this very first podcast, I want to say what's good in my life is the 2 of you. I know. Heart emoji. Really, we'll get more into, you know, our lives and how they're so different, and the fact that I move around and have this constant kind of, on the move lifestyle. It's really important to me to have people who I can go to and who I can trust, who know me well. Crystal, I tell you all the time, you know me better than anyone in the world. I really dislike that. I really, really dislike that. You always know what I'm going to say and do.
People who
she
cannot
tells me
accept
what my
the
reaction
truth.
is going to be to something, and I really dislike that. But
then she tries to get that not to be her reaction, and it doesn't work because she ends up going back to the reaction that I said she was going to have.
Because I am who I am. But she knows me and loves me for it, and I appreciate that. And I know that I can turn to her in my darkest moment. I can call her, and she's there for me. Thea is just such an encourager and such a, she's going to make sure I meet my goals in spite of myself.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
we'll
ma'am.
keep me on the timeline, and we'll just call out the blue with the word to push me and get me back on track. And I don't have another person in the world who does that. So I really, really, really appreciate the 2 of you. You are the good thing in my life today. Thank you.
Yay.
Oh, thanks, Kish.
I'll go next. The good thing in my life that I woke up grateful for is being surrounded by so many dream chasers, and they're all women. They're all badasses. And at certain points we'll get to talk about them or maybe bring them on the show. But I have to say, like, when I look at my squad, I look at my tribe, similar to what Nekisha was saying, like, not even just on just like emotional support, but like emotional support for people who are trying to reach their dreams, and who are mothers trying to reach that dream, and who are still getting up every day and like having meetings and fighting for grants and like holding fundraisers and starting businesses. It's crazy. It's almost like we're in a space where you can't help but be a dream chaser because we're surrounded by so many. So if you don't have dream chasers in your squad, you need to get you some, like, for real. Like, they bring a lot to the table. A lot about optimism, perseverance, and they just got real talk for you. Like, they don't let you kind of like sit in it too long. It's like, I hear you, right? But you do realize that Tyler Perry has a landing strip in his backyard, bitch.
And a landing strip bridge.
Have you ever been in a steam shower? I'm gonna need you to get your shit together and hit these goals so one of us can have a steam shower. And I need those type of people. So I say namaste to all of you dream chasers. That's
and
not what's good.
It's good to have dream chasers for another reason, because you don't want to be that friend, at least this is my fear, who like all your friends like
this is Crystal's real fear
and blew up, and you're
Crystal's
like
legit fear. If you call Krista with good news, she's like, I got to get my shit together. I mean, I'm happy for you, bitch. I'm happy for you, but I've got to hit these goals. I got this. I've been saying I'm gonna write this. I'm gonna do this. Nothing motivates her more than like you calling her like, yay, look what happened. She's like, oh.
When I lived in LA, I took Tasha Smith's acting class, and so now when I look on TV, I'm like, yeah, he was in my acting class. Yeah, she was in my acting class. Yeah, he was. Oh man, he got that commercial on that series, huh? And so you don't want to be the friend who's telling your kids, "Yeah, I knew them. We were in the acting class together." And then your kids are like, Yeah. So what had happened to you? And you just don't want. So I think it's good to have dream chasers in your circle because it's motivating. And if they're in your circle, then it really makes you look at what you're capable of as well. So my what's good is our 19-year-old daughter. She's at FAMU. Last year, she went to a predominantly white institution, and she transferred to FAMU this fall, and she's doing so good. She's a lot further away. She's 8 hours away from us now, but she's doing so good. She's grown so much. That's really, really good in our life right now because we can see her growing in so many ways that she was kind of stifled in last year, and we can tell that she's a lot proud of herself this year too. So that's what's good with us, and it makes me feel good because I feel like we're getting our money's worth. It's funny because I went to school in Tallahassee. I went to Florida State though, and now she's in Tallahassee, and she's a theater major, and I was a theater major. So I don't know. That's really what's good. To watch your child pursue their dreams is really good.
And she's gonna come to LA, and you came to LA. She's gonna come to LA. At a certain point.
She eventually she's gonna end up in
She's
LA.
coming.
It's just when you do it, you don't see it as a scary thing. But when your kid does it, it's like, whoa, wow, yeah.
She'll be fine.
So
she just Uber everywhere.
And I mean, I know people out there now, so that's a good thing. So
yeah, it's not as big and scary as we thought.
I couldn't have gone at 18. I think in my 20s it wasn't as big and scary. I think at 18 it would have ate me alive because I was I was kind of sheltered. So I think at 18 it would have eaten me alive.
And Crystal arrived in LA in pink cowboy boots with the matching pink head wrap. That was in the 20s. So if you 18, I don't know what the fuck would have came off. What did you come on? Was it a bus? What was it? What did you roll up in here with?
Why
A plane.
do I know that
on
outfit?
On a plane. Yeah. Why you don't? Right.
Why
Girl,
do I know that
everything
outfit?
matched.
I can picture her wearing that.
Yes,
circa
everything.
2000.
If it was pink, everything was gonna be pink.
Not
we was going
everything,
aqua.
'cause you
Girl,
can't
yes, the
give-
head wrap.
Not everything.
The head wrap with
yes.
the shoes.
But the head wrap would have aqua in it. It wouldn't just totally be aqua. Because in
It
the
could
South, we have outfits. Like it's an effort to put the whole thing together. It's like an outfit. So
Gotta
everything.
coordinate.
Wait, real quick, real side note. Crystal was going to an audition, and she was picking these loud,
because I wanted
colored
them to
outfits.
remember me.
And I'm sure he did. I'm sure that you were successful. I thought you wanted to get the part. But if you wanted them to remember you, I think that goal, y'all have taught us, it's about intention. It's about intention. And I was like, oh, that's what you're wearing? And she's like, yeah, I think I'll stand out. And I was like, maybe like something like some black or some gray, maybe so that you can just kind of go in and let the acting shine. And no, she wore her outfit. And I'll let you tell her, you could tell them how that, worked out.
How'd that go?
I didn't get the part, but here's the thing. There were a lot of parts that I auditioned for in LA that I didn't get, and I don't think it was totally my outfits.
I'm sure they remember you, though.
Our next segment
I'm sure they remember you.
Our next segment, we promised to come back to doing a segment on delusional thinking. I feel like as a marriage and family therapist, I must cover this topic. But for now, I think we'll just
Y'all should see Crystal's face.
Namaste. Is it
She's not feeling
namaste or namaste?
Well, it's namaste, but if we're going to do Dem Black Mamas, I feel like we should do namaste.
This makes sense to me. It makes perfect sense to me.
For that? I just feel like if we change it, we should make it
We gotta move on with the show. We gotta move on with the show.
Our mac and cheese segment is brought to you by Lioness Lactation. Mobile and virtual.
Is it Lioness Lactation?
That is the name of my company.
Yeah,
You just prefer
it's
to call me
fine.
the Lactation Lioness?
Yeah,
I know.
This is true. Yeah.
So once again, brought to you by Lioness Lactation, which provides mobile and virtual HIPAA-compliant breastfeeding support.
HIPAA-compliant, y'all.
Where you are.
That means your business won't be out in the street.
That's it. So find us on the web at www.lioness.lactation.com.
My bad.
Crystal, you can call me the Lactation Lioness. You can call me
I don't
that.
say it
It's
like
okay.
that. I say, lactation lioness.
I was hoping that wasn't going to happen, but go ahead. For a second, I thought that was.
What is our topic for the mac and cheese segment, please, Nekisha?
Oh, Lord. Our topic for the mac and cheese section is the election, the 2016 presidential election outcome.
Namaste. Who's gonna kick the? Look, everybody. We need a.
It just got real solemn up in here.
Yeah.
I don't
Well.
even have.
Okay. Can I just say, as a black woman, here's where I am. I'll tell you where I am. Right. Yes, we are going through the stages of grief about the outcome, but can I just 1 second tell you where I specifically am? I feel like I'm in that moment where you're like, I ain't doing shit else for nobody. That is where I am, right? I feel like we have been doing some serious heavy lifting, like for a very long time. Like Hillary was yours. You know what I'm saying? That's your boo. Like, that's your person. We was, like, if Michelle Obama was running, you think we would let her lose? Like, never, right? Never. We would, like, please. That was your person. And you can't even come through for your own, like, what? No. I just won't participate. We're just not friends right now. I do not want to be friends. I was tentative about the friendship to begin with, right? I was very tentative. And I'm in that
white
space.
Women.
She is.
Yeah, I think more specifically because, I just feel like that was y'all's girl. Okay, now, I know we talk a lot about the South, but LA has some codes too. Loyalty is really real up in LA. I grew up during a time when you could just make up a gang. You just put you could be like the high top hoodlums, right? Or whatever you wanted to be. You could just make it up, and then that shit was real the next day, right? The next day, y'all was robbing folks. So, gang culture has influenced how we like.
What
we have
is this podcast? Okay.
I don't even know. But my point is that loyalty is really big. I don't believe in snitching. I don't believe in jumping folks because that'll get you shot. And I feel like, you got to be really loyal. And there was just no loyalty. And I think the one of the biggest mistakes, and there was an article about this that I thought was really good. And it talked about, now white is a racial identity, and not like in the, not in we know we've always had white as a classification, but in terms of a racial identity where an ideal of who you are is put upon you, right? And like generalized, right? So to the point where a racial identity can be stereotyped is like as a defining characteristic of what it means to have a racial identity from outside the identity, right? Like the identity doesn't create that stereotype inside. Then white people are now experiencing what it feels like to have a racial identity because you do go in Starbucks and be like, this bitch probably secretly voted for Trump. Like, I don't even know you like that. Like, you probably, and I know they feel like, oh my God, do they think I'm a Trump supporter? Like, yeah, and I feel like, you should feel that way. And we've been feeling that way about a lot of things, so I feel like that has all come to play. And what we did was, because we didn't treat it like a racial identity, I mean, I think people of color did, but I don't think white people did, is that we didn't think they would vote race over gender. And we do. Yeah. We vote race over gender. Like women of color vote race over gender all the time. And I don't think we thought they would do that because, overall people associate the idea of feminism with white women, even though once again, we were doing a lot of heavy lifting in those movements and not getting a lot of credit for it. So, for me, what I'm going to do is enjoy and soak up the last few days of blackness I can get from the Obamas. I will probably take off on the 20th and 21st because I would not be able to pull myself from the floorboards. But I think I'm going to soak it up. And I don't think it's my time to strategize what we do to get out of here. I just feel like it's your time to strategize. I feel like I've always felt like changes to white supremacy are gonna have to come through white people. This is evidence of that. And like, what do you want me to do? Like, I can send you some granola bars and bottled water, but that's about all I got. And it depends on what you're talking about at that meeting. If I can't preview the agenda before, I'm not going to send the granola bars and the water bottles either because I need to see the agenda. And so that's where I'm at. Granola? I assume that every meeting I've gone to, every meeting I've gone to with a lot of white people had granola bars.
I don't believe in that. I don't believe in I hate tease food. If I'm at a meeting and you're telling me you're gonna have food, I need food with parents. I'm not meat, a food with a parent. I am not a believer that you say you have food and then I get there and it's a granola bar.
Out here, girl, the meetings they have granola bars, or they'll have bagels or muffins, and then the setup. Here's the setup. They'll put out fruit, and every now and then, them slick suckers try to put watermelon out there, and they just waiting to see if you gonna eat it. And sometimes I don't give them the satisfaction, but sometimes I'm like, I should be free. I should be free to eat this watermelon. Yeah. But I have friends who have told me, don't you eat it. Don't you put that on your plate in front of them. Because I feel that my friend said it's they kind of keep a tally, ooh, they took it.
Yeah, but you can't. That's the white gaze. You can't be a prisoner to the white gaze.
Right. You should eat the watermelon.
And the fried chicken if you want on the same plate.
But they don't have fried chicken at the meetings. They don't have fried chicken at the meetings.
She's in LA, Nekisha. She's in LA. They don't have fried chicken at the meeting. Mm-hmm. Here in the South, though,
they will have fried chicken at the meeting.
They're gonna have some fried chicken at the meeting.
It could be catered by Chick-fil-A. It could be
catered, and it's still fried chicken there. Often not good unless it's catered.
Right, about to say
yeah,
by Chick-fil-A. It could be catered by Chick-fil-A. You got the whole sentence. Yeah.
Once again, we don't support Chick-fil-A. We do not support Chick-fil-A.
I'm not saying I do. I'm saying in the South, at events, there is caterage.
I'm not going to go on record about Chick-fil-A.
Crystal can identify with that.
I don't want to get caught at a Chick-fil-A.
At a Chick-fil-A. Ordering nuggets after you done been on this podcast. Talking about well, you better do what you gotta do. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just not gonna go.
No comment. No comment.
I don't support some of the ideologies of some of the people who own Chick-fil-A's. But where I am after the election, I think as a Black mother, is really trying to figure out how jarring it is going to be for my son, who is all of my children really came of age during the Obama years. Our oldest is 19. So when President Obama got elected, she was 10, 11?
11, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And our 7-year-old was born the year that he was inaugurated.
Yeah.
Our 2-year-old was born during his presidency. Our 16-year-old was 8 when he was elected. Mm-hmm. So really, I don't know if they know or remember anything before President Obama. So I think part of my fear and anxiety is, what is this world now going to look like for them? And as a parent, trying to figure out how to parent Black children. I mean, from everything we're seeing now, more extremism has come to the surface. And that's extremely jarring for my 7-year-old.
In the South.
And my 16-year-old. Our 19-year-old, for lack of a better word, is a little bit insulated because she's at FAMU. Mm-hmm. Her reaction to it, when I text her when he won, she said, I'm really worried about Black women. I'm really worried about Black women. But she's a little bit more insulated. And so is our 2-year-old. He goes to a private Black preschool. But our 7-year-old and our 16-year-old, I mean, these are realities that we're really going to have them deal with, because our 16-year-old is going to be driving soon. They're going to move further away from the nest. I mean, they're going to come of age under a Trump presidency. And so as a mother, as a Black mother specifically, trying to navigate my way through that and just not knowing what's going to come next is absolutely frightening. I think the uncertainty for me is, how far is the extremism going
unchecked,
to go?
Unchecked.
Legislative extremism. Sally to say, I'm a little bit used to that, especially living in a red state, right? But the visceral, visual extremism I mean, I live in a state where we just took down the Confederate flag, you know, so, but still the in your face, the Heil Trump and all of that, that's even for me a little bit like, who?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think the legislative stuff and the institutional and systemic extremism and racism is something that I expect, and I thought that that was the level that we're fighting on, but to add the in-your-face racism to it, and I don't even know if it's uncertainty for me as much as it is for my children who, you know, just can't fathom that kind of
so
thing.
I share all of those perspectives. I am just a ball of different emotions about this thing. Most of them bad, all of them bad, all of them negative. So I share all of the things that you have said, but then I also am in this position where I spend a lot of my time in white women spaces, a lot of my time. So in the homeschool community is completely white and Christian, where I am, generally wherever we move, it's what it looks like. And the breastfeeding world, the larger organizations that I spent a great deal of time trying to move into 2016, are, you know, just groups of white women in general. The first group of homeschooling, you know, they're conservative. I get it. I knew where they were coming from day one. The second group that claims to be crunchy, you know, hippie, you know, every baby needs breast milk. That group posited themselves as down for the cause. We're going to get, you know, we're for the cause of progress. And I feel real betrayed and lied to by those chicks. I should not have been surprised. Shame on me for being surprised, because this has been historically consistent. But I was. And
Wait, do you think some of them voted for
absolutely,
Trump? Or
absolutely,
you know that
absolutely,
absolutely. Oh, wow.
And we've had those conversations. Yes. They voted with their husbands. They voted with their whatever, with their friends, the church, the whatever. And instead of being all pantsuit nation like they presented themselves to be. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like I had put myself in some sort of echo chamber. Shame on me for being surrounded by a lot of progressives and a lot of people who understand the struggle. And so I didn't see it coming. I was all up in Pantsuit Nation. in the Facebook group. In the date, like, these white women they are about Hillary. It's about to happen. You know, there's no way we are better than this as a nation. There's no way we're about to let Trump in. There's a small fraction of Americans that think that way. I got shocked.
There are some things that I keep telling myself, though. The first one is she won the popular vote. So most of the people who voted did not vote for him. So that I have to continue to tell myself that, because if I don't, I will get down in the mire of this is too big, this is too heavy. But I keep telling myself that most of the people who voted did not vote for him.
I'm not making no new white friends today, right now, in this moment. I understand who was with me before. I understand who was fighting the cause before, and those are the ones I know for sure. I believe them that they did what they needed to do in moving up towards the election. So the little glimmer of hope I have, well, two things. So I feel like people are really digging their heels in. Wherever you are, that's where you're digging your heels in right now, and that's what I'm seeing on discussions on Facebook. I'm seeing this, you know, with my neighbors who wouldn't say who they were voting for before, but now they're putting on Facebook this same little video of a protester or of kids beating up a guy who voted for Trump. You know what I mean? So now they're coming out, they're digging their heels, and they're saying, yeah, we voted for Trump, and this is why. Because you know what I mean? And using that for justification. So people are digging their heels in. Wherever they stood, many are proudly standing in those positions. I'm concerned about those who lied to pollsters, those who put forward a face like they were going to be for the cause and ended up not being so. The glimmer of hope I have is that even if you lied and couldn't pull the trigger for Hillary, ended up going in there for Trump, you too, white women, are going to see many of your rights removed in the coming years. You will see the light. You will see it. You will see it. I don't know if you're going to give credit where credit is due, but the light is going to shine on you and blind you. I promise you.
So let's talk about how our children reacted and also how we plan to parent our children through this time.
Okay, so my children are shielded from a lot, and we do that purposely. We do that strategically. The military community is not always as liberal as I would like. I'm also married to a centrist, and so we don't share all of the same views on everything. And so there's some discord between us in political situations. So I had to be very careful with how I framed the election to my children. My oldest is very sensitive and would have really literally been afraid that Trump was going to come and get her out of her bed at night or something. So I have to be very, very careful the way I framed it to them. And so I tried to keep it as top level as I could so I can say that they don't quite get what has happened. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I have some time to really help them understand it. And because I have a lot of control over the spaces that they go and what they hear and what they're exposed to, I'm okay with breaking it down to them in a way that they can digest it at this time. In the future, though, I recognize I have a lot of work on my hands, raising 3 Black women in this society and understanding that we really are in many, many ways the bottom rung. It pains me to say it, but it is true. And so I have to really prepare them, one, to be really sure and confident of themselves, and then also to navigate these spaces where they are not fully aware right now of all the things discounting them, if that makes sense. And so I'm thinking through that. I'm working through that. I don't know yet how this will look, but I know that I have my work cut out for me, and I'm taking it one day at a time, to be honest. My eldest has started to ask a lot of questions. She asked me who I was voting for all along. I told her who I was voting for all along. I told her when I was feeling the burn. I told her why. When I got on team, girl, I guess I'm with her. When I got on that team, she was like, why you change? What happened? I was like, all right, so mommy learned a little bit more, and this is the situation now. And then, so she understands that much of it, and she knows that Trump won, and mommy was in grieving mourning for some days. But I still don't, I don't yet know, yet I know that she doesn't yet understand what that means to her. And we go out in places, we're in a very small town, a very, very, there are a handful of Black people in this town, and I never ever see them, so we're in a town where we don't see people that don't look like us at all. And so, where we don't see people that look like us, rather. And so, anyway, as we are going around town, going around different spaces here, I'm definitely more careful in my interactions with people. I think they may have noticed that. I think that there's this weird, something Thea alluded to earlier, there's this weird overcompensating of the not Trump voter who's super nice to us now. Super trying to make sure we know they're nice people.
Feel that.
In a weird kind of way, I'm engaging, running into these interactions where people are like over the top nice and friendly and odd. And so a lot of it feels forced and weird. They feel this, they know that things are weird and awkward and strange, and they ask about kind of what's going on in that way. And so we have these conversations, and we'll continue.
Oh, I'll go ahead. Were you going to go, Crystal?
So when RJ woke up, he was pretty devastated. And I said, okay, well, it's okay to be devastated. Mommy's devastated too. So, today we'll just have a fun day. We'll do whatever we want to today. I just wanted him to have some Black joy, some Black boy joy, because he's such like a happy kid. So, we did that, and we just spent the whole day together. Didn't watch any news. I haven't watched news since the election. I read a lot of articles, but I haven't watched news because I just can't take it right now. We spent the whole day together. And I said tomorrow we figure out how we move forward. And I think one of the things that I'm going to do is RJ wants to be president. And he's in student council at his school. And I was reading about, I saw an article in Higher Ed. And it talked about the lack of diversity and the lack of women in college student government. And that running for office in college is highly correlated to running for public office once you get out of college. And so there's a lack of women, of course, a lack of minorities. So I'm going to encourage him to continue to be active in his student government. because I think that's one way to make change. I think the Democrats keep saying our bench is thin, and I think one reason the bench is thin is because new leaders aren't being cultivated on a basic bottom level. And I'm going to get involved with the student council at his school to make sure that those kids are really getting effective leadership skills that will take them further in life. And this article was really interesting, and I'll post it on our Facebook page. It talked mostly about women, but it also said that women worked a lot behind the scenes, a lot of women who were managing campaigns for people who were running for student government in college, but a lot of women felt like they weren't qualified to run, or they felt like they could be more effective behind the scenes than out in front. And so I think that's something that I really want to work on, is encouraging women, encouraging young people of color to get involved in their student government, because I think that that will eventually translate to them being involved in politics or eventually running for public office. So that was kind of our experience over here. Shaira was a little bit more insulated at FAMU. At FAMU, they really teach you that your education is not just about you, but it's about your community. So what are you going to do with your education beyond yourself? And so she's been coming up with ideas about things that she wants to do, not just create art, but how to really invest art in the community. So I'm really excited about those things. Our 16-year-old is kind of, you know, like, it's messed up. That's real messed up. That's sort of his reaction.
In my household, similar to Crystal's household, like we're politically involved, and we that's a part of the conversation. And again, you know, like you said, raising 3 Black women, like I knew that would have to be something that they were aware of and able to navigate. So Talani was 3 years old, and we were at the grocery store, and I'm putting groceries on the little conveyor belt thing, and she asked the woman behind her, so, you know, who you voting for, McCain or Obama? And the woman was like, why is this 3-year-old hit me up about my political views? And she knew his cabinet. She knew, you know, she knew everything. And she was a sponge for that type of thing. Lexington's very similar. Thea, you know, I do my best. You know, I do my best, but I don't ask for much. So, you know, but it was an ongoing conversation. Like Lexington had a note sent home from a teacher that was like, can she please not share so much of her political views in the classroom? Because she went to school talking about, you know, Trump is racist, and like, you know, so we got a little note, and we were like, why should we censor her again? But so, you know, we were very involved, and everybody was watching, and we went to my mom's to watch the outcome, and when it still wasn't settled. The first thing I remember is when I went to bed after Podesta made the announcement that they would, like, you know, revisit this in the morning. And then my husband woke me up and said, it's over, Thea, she conceded. And I was like, no, that didn't happen. Like, we're not conceding yet, because, you know, I was like, no, we're going to wait in the morning, and the votes are going to come in. And like, he was like, no, sweetie, she just, you know, conceded. And that was a devastating moment. And I went to bed with some sort of hope that in the morning this wouldn't have happened. And so the next hardest moment was the littlest one coming out to the kitchen. God, and like, who wanted to wake up that next morning to that? Like, who, like, it was just like, you know, we're always grateful for every day that we wake up. But like, it was one of those days you didn't really want to wake up. And so waking up and going in the kitchen, and she comes out and she wiped in her eyes, and she's still in her pajamas, and her first words were, did he win? And like, I immediately cried and nodded and said, you know, yeah, I'm really sorry, but he did. And she just started crying. And I went to my older daughter's room, and I had to tell them. And I just remember Talani like turning her face and burying it in her pillow. And Taya kind of being stunned. I think she was in the comfort zone of feeling like that wasn't going to happen. And so she was still processing that it happened. And I work on a college campus. So, you know, I don't want, you know, hope everyone I'm just being honest about what the response was. When we got there, it was like a ghost town, and it was very zombie-like. And I had like this, I remembered the last time I saw that sort of shock was 9/11. I was going to school, and it was very similar. I was going to a different college campus. I was taking classes at the time, and everybody was trying to go about their business as normal, but you weren't able to. It was like really hard, and you just kind of looked around, and everybody was like not present, and that's what that looked and felt like. And so what I told them is, when they said, "What do we do?" and I said, "I don't know." Because I didn't, and I still don't. I said, I don't know what we're going to do, but I do know that we will survive, and we've survived worse, and that we will figure it out, because that is what we do in the hardest times. We innovate, we create, and we figure things out. And so for what's helped us, though, is being able to share with them, and again, this is an advantage of being in not just a blue state, but arguably the bluest state, is that our legislature was like, fuck that, we ain't doing shit. And we was like, yeah, everybody's like, we ain't doing shit, man. Like, we instantly started getting, stuff from the state legislature making joint statements to the, like I said, being on a college campus, and DACA being something that opened up the way for so many of our students to be on campus. We have the Dreamers Resource Center, that community was super devastated. And so immediate responses from university professionals saying, they're not going to come here for you. Like, we're not going to let that happen. And I work at Cal State LA, so we are known for shutting down freeways. I mean, it was only a matter of 5 hours before some freeways were shut down. And so, for me, I was immediately kind of able to go into the comfort of, no, I'm with some ride or dies. I live in a ride or die state. And they were very clear. You're not dragging us back to the Stone Age. We will be, if we have to drag this country into progress, we are willing to do what we got to do. We are so tired of wasting our 55 electoral votes on this whole middle section. Like, we want, and that's been stuff I could share with them to show them, see, this is what's happening, and things aren't going to fall apart because people are going to fight back. And, but I'm like you, I haven't really tuned in much since the election, because it's kind of like living in a circus. Like what crazy three-armed, three-headed person is he going to pull out to put in his cabinet now? You know what I mean? And like, I can't be watching that right now. I got to soak up all this Obama blackness.
As a mom, I wondered if I exposed them to too much. Like, should I have sheltered them more? Because RJ's reaction was very visceral, and I could feel his fear and his anxiety. And I thought, did I do that by engaging him so much? I mean, I saw it as, oh, this is a great learning opportunity. He wants to know. But I think part of the reason he wanted to know was because I was so into it. I mean, my husband talked about at the week after the DNC convention, he said, you need to spend some time with these kids because you have ignored them for a whole week to watch the DNC convention. And, I grew up in a political family. My mom was the head of our union, so we're very, very political, very, very involved from a young age. And so I just wondered, did I nurture this fear and anxiety in him? And I don't think you nurture the fear.
I think what it is, but the a core tenet of Black parenting is preparing your kids for the world. A core tenet. Now, we do that different ways, but we don't. We tend not to. We don't raise them in La La Land. You know what I'm saying? And that fear and anxiety was not something you put in him. That was something that is in the environment. Whether or not you speaking to it gave it definition, but he was going to feel that, just like Nekisha was saying. They feel her kids don't know all about it, and they're still picking up on it. The biggest mistake we make with kids is thinking because we don't say something that they don't know something. That's right? True. They are very intuitive. And so by giving it some definition that actually can help with navigating and like, oh, okay, I can intellectualize that. I can make that make sense. Versus something just don't feel right, but I don't know what it is. Is it me? Is it this? Is it that? And so you didn't put that fear and anxiety there. The fear and anxiety is everywhere. You just named it.
I as the chief shelterer in the group, as the helicopter parent on deck. Yes, I really think that you did the right thing. I think because RJ, to your point, was going to be exposed to a lot of it anyway.
He goes
and
up,
so you gave him the tools, you gave him the context.
We switched his school this year. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like his cousins, whoever. So you gave him context, you gave him language, you gave him a way to process all that was happening. Yeah, it's devastating. And it is to all of us. But I think that he got it at an appropriate level for his age because you were able to guide him through that. And I think he's better for it. And yeah, so it's interesting to see the different ways that we chose to approach this with our children. And I think that each of us gauged who our children are and what they can handle. Especially in a household where they're inundated with the news. He would have seen so much of this and not have had any idea what to make of it if it weren't for your guidance.
I have not watched the news since 11 o'clock. No, like 11:15 on November 8th. I have not watched any news. I don't even listen to it on satellite radio. Now, I do read a lot because I still want to be engaged. But, I think I'm going to give myself maybe after the inauguration.
Ooh, no.
I don't even want to see all
Baby,
of that.
I'm worried about who he's going to pick to sing. Let's talk about the real, okay? Who the fuck is he going to
I don't want to talk about any of it.
The national anthem.
I'm going to be in mourning.
Listen, we are literally going to be
in mourning. You going to wear a veil,
Swag.
You going to wear a veil.
I'm going to wear a veil.
We're going to watch Swag drain. That's what I'm not ready for. It was so nice to have somebody cool.
Who can he pick to sing? Who can he pick?
Well, they tried to say Elton John was going to do it, and he was like, "Bitch, please." He was like, "Bitch, why?"
I don't even know who he could pick.
Oh, no, listen. Let's be real.
Yeah.
There's some folks he can pick to
Ben
sing.
Carson may know some people.
Don't have it in me right. I just don't have. Don't have it.
Her whole hand just went across her face when I said Ben Carson.
Let me say that I will say different from you two. I have been totally engaged in all the news sources.
Are you serious, Nekisha?
If you had been on Facebook, you would have seen angry rant after angry rant and me forwarding all the
I am on social media, so I do see that. I see you forwarding, like when the people who were being attacked.
Yes,
and all
I
that.
forward a lot of Sean King stuff.
Yeah.
But for me, this is how I process. I need to release this anger. I need to release this energy, and I'm doing so on Facebook. However, weeks later, I am seeing it's really taken a toll on me emotionally. So it helped help me release it, but in order to do that, I had to remain in the mire. I had to remain totally engaged in reading all the stuff and engaging in all these arguments after argument after argument. And it'll come up in our last segment how I feel about that moving forward. It's not good. It's not good for me. So I gotta pull back. I gotta be more like y'all, essentially.
So we could do this all day. Okay. I'm going to transition us into our collection plate segment, and we're going to get into what that means. So
can y'all hear my clap? Can y'all
hear
church clap?
Church clap? We don't need no music.
Yes.
We don't need no music.
We don't need no music.
Dun. Y'all need to stay tuned because Nekisha and I have a whole book we gonna do one day about that. But we decided to add the collection plate causes segment because there's so many worthy things, so many things that we need to pay attention to, so many things that need our help and need our assistance that we definitely want to make sure we focus on. And so we decided to call, there was some conversation about this. As you see, all the titles, there's conversations about, because Crystal had to explain to me once again, that, most folks call it offering.
No. The correct term is offering.
But black folks say
like collection.
The collection plate.
They taken up collection. That's what we say. Have they taken up the collection yet? He took up 3 collections. Every time a preacher come guest preach,
and
you want to take up a collection.
There's like the Building Fund collection.
Yeah. The Building Fund collection.
What is that? We need to
That's his anniversary.
We need to show that whole segment from Don't Be a Menace to
the
South
anniversary collection.
Yes. That's a whole nother book. So today, one of the groups we want to focus on is the children killed in the school bus crash in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and to send love and light to the families and the communities. It's such a devastating tragedy. And, again, as mothers, anytime there's any form of loss, I don't even think it's about, like, what age, just loss, you identify with that loss as someone who, has given life. So we just want to take a moment to say the names of each child. And we apologize in advance if we get those names wrong. Cordesia Jones, age 9. Zoe Nash, age 9. Damian Brown, age 6. Zayana Harris, age 10. Zayara Mateen, age 6. Keontae Wilson, age 8. There are ways that you can support the families and the victims. We're going to put a link up on our Facebook and Twitter pages so that we can make sure that all of you have the information needed to support these families. And we think that's a worthy cause to be in our collection plate.
The final portion of our collection plate causes will be about Keith Lamont Scott. And we all saw as he was brutally shot down in Charlotte by a police officer. Many of us know the backstory of him having PTSD and his wife being present and filming as it was happening. We just got notice that the police officer who shot and killed him will not be indicted. Please donate, if you can, to Charlotte Uprising. It's a coalition of community members, local and state organizers who are committed to ensuring the safety of their communities and advocating for police accountability, transparency, and social and economic equity. CharlotteUprising.com.
So if you are feeling down and if you are feeling like, what can you do? As you can tell by our collection plate items, there are ways that you can still shed some light, that you can still uplift and progress and help this country move forward.
So our final segment, we wanted to end in a way that hearkened and awakened the Black mama in everybody, right? Because you don't necessarily have to be a Black mama to have Black mama tendencies. We will one day have a guest, Kat McGill, and she will prove that. We wanted to awaken, strengthen, and empower the Black mama in all of us. So our final segment is Black Mama Say. We're going to say it's brought to you by Say Word LA today, which is an amazing organization that I have the pleasure of working with here in Los Angeles. The executive director is Kat McGill. We are currently in the middle of our Speak to Inspire fundraiser. And what we do is we teach spoken word curriculum to youth, and they actually get English credit for it. It meets the Common Core standard. It's a really amazing program. We develop artists, and Kat McGill is one of the realest, most dedicated executive directors you could ask for. Her squad is on point and
she
amazing.
Built that.
So Say Word LA. From the ground up, she's one of the dream chasers that I was talking about earlier. So that's who is this segment is sponsored by. So the Black Mama saying for this week is, "You got one more time." Crystal, who got one more time?
Oh, I didn't know it was starting with me.
Well, let's rewind that. Let me go back. Okay, so Nekisha, who got one more time?
Listen.
I'm ready.
When Black people say
three times.
I told you three times. When Black people say it 3 times.
Listen.
3 times. You said 3 times.
Listen. These white women who I am trying to drag kicking and streaming into 2016 in issues regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion in one particular organization that I'm working on for breastfeeding. They got one more time. One more time.
To try
me. Really. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. I'm going to have to come all the way out the bag and remind them that the person
out
they
the
see
bag.
out
the bag.
The bag. All the way out the bag. And remind them that the person they've been
may
working
not
with
be
for
who they
years
think may not be
there. She may not be. She's not to be played with. And so I've been trying to handhold. I've been trying to guide them.
She's not to be played with.
I've been trying.
She ain't to be played with. Like, you gotta break that up.
She ain't.
Go ahead.
She ain't. So I can claim the country with Crystal and the hood as well. Shout out to 1887 Edenville, Florida. So
she sounded that out. Hood.
And they're going to see the Edenville come up out of me if I have to continue to defend and explain and handhold on these issues that should be apparent to all.
I promise you, boo boo.
They got one more time.
Listen, I completely support that. My one more time. It's hard for me to do because it involves black women. And, you know, I struggle before I bring something publicly against us. But there is a video. There's a video released by ABC News.
Oh, Lord.
In my own community of two black women. Not only are they going at it, but they go into a full-blown demolition derby. They stop fighting with fists, y'all, and they start fighting with actual vehicles, okay? Now, like I said, in LA, we got certain codes, right? If you fighting somebody straight up and somebody jump in that constitutes you getting jumped. You got a right to feel some kind of way about that. You don't jump people. You go head to head, right? But do I think that means that you should start crashing your car into people's car and like literally trying to hit people with your car, hitting hydrants, backing up, going for it? Because you got one more time to pull that shit while we are trying to fight against discrimination. You are out there running your car over people, and we don't even know. Is it over a parking spot? Is it over a man? The reality is it don't matter. What we see is you reversing and going forward into another person's car repeatedly, literally. And the best part of the video is the commentary. Like the folks around. Here's the thing. When I watch it, I feel like I know what corner that is. And I think that's where the shame comes in. I was like, oh, that's the corner of such and such and such and such. And you could totally see that going down. And then the commentary is like, oh, but yeah, she did. Girl, she ain't playing, but they did jump her though. They did. See, that's what I'm saying. It's an LA rule. You don't do that. So they got, I don't even know if they got one more time. Because they probably arrested. They got no more times. Because they probably in jail right now. Because they defaced public property. It was just a hot effing mess. We're going to put the link up. Unfortunately, we're not going to put the link up?
No, we're not. No, we're not putting that link up.
You have told them which outlet released it. They can find it.
Okay, y'all can find it. You're right. We're not going to spread that. But y'all, I had to watch that video 3 times to make sure it actually happened. And I was looking as a therapist and as a black woman for like a reason. Was there a Klan member in the other car? Was there like, you know what I'm saying? Was there like a misogynist in the other car? Like was someone attacking your children? None of that happened. Literally, it went down. So they got no more times because they're probably in jail.
I also want to talk about pumpkin versus sweet potato. White people have one more time to tell me
it is not the same. And if they got one more time to hand me a slice of pumpkin pie and try to convince me.
And the whole pumpkin spice stuff during this year, don't make it better. Sweet potato is different from pumpkin. It's different. It's 2 different things. You got pumpkins and you got sweet potatoes. And it's not the same. You got one more time to tell me the pumpkin pie is like the sweet potato
is clearly a better pie. Clearly a superior pie. Okay, it's clearly...
It's a sweet vegetable. How can you beat that? A sweet vegetable versus a
superior pie.
And let me tell you, this pumpkin spice thing, I don't trust it. It don't taste good to me. I just think it's a lot of hype. It's a lot of hype. Plus, if you tell me sweet potato spice, I'm there. I'm buying it all day. But the pumpkin spice, white people, got one more time.
They hand it to you.
It's not the same.
Offering it to you. Like as though they don't know the difference. And I find that, again, this is why I'm not sending no granola bars. Because until you get right, until you act right, like you know. If you don't know the difference between pumpkin and sweet potato, you don't know the difference between justice and injustice. Like, you just don't know.
I believe they have been exposed to some seasoning-free sweet potato pie in their lives that tasted to them, perhaps, maybe like pumpkin pie. So... sweet potato pie cooked in a kitchen that doesn't use a lot of spices or any spices. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Even if you don't put spices on sweet potato, it still tastes better than pumpkin.
Right, I was trying to help them out. You're right.
No, there's no... I remember Shayera asked me one time if we could fry some pumpkins.
What are you talking about? Not on my watch. We don't... Listen, I'm going to tell you something like this. After Trump, You got one. I dare you to bring pumpkin spice back next year. You understand me? That will show me that you have made zero efforts to change this country. Zero. Okay, you, Kristen.
Starbucks,
we go back to
we
the other
need a
segment.
sweet
We go back to
potato
the other
latte.
segment. You were saying, you hopeful. I will get hopeful if you discontinue pumpkin next season. Next fall, if I see any pumpkin anything, I would know that y'all ain't changed a damn bit. Not a bit. Not a bit. That's your first sign.
I
So
think
if
that's
they
legit.
bring
That makes
sweet
perfect sense to me.
potato instead
Then,
of pumpkin,
I
then
will
you
send
know
granola
you're
bars.
progressive.
We know.
I will
We
send
know it's
granola
real.
bars.
Then we know it's real. Starbucks.
I will send granola bars. But if
Don't
you
let
come
us
around
down.
next season with that same ass tired pumpkin, I'm gonna be like, they ain't changed. They ain't learned shit.
Okay. Well, this is our first show. We are so happy that you decided to listen. Thank you so much for joining us. Please remember to hit us up on social media.
Follow us on Facebook at Dim Black Mamas. MAMAS.
Hit us up on Twitter at Dem Black Mamas.
And on Instagram, Dim Black Mamas. Hit us up with your thoughts about the show and our topics, or you can just show us some love.
You can also write to us for advice. One of our hosts, Thea Monyee, is a licensed family and marriage therapist. Or if you have topic suggestions, want to know more about us, just shoot us an email at dimblackmamas@gmail.com.
So thank you. We don't have a catchy ending yet. Most shows have a catchy ending. We don't have that yet. The weave will be better as time
You won't
goes
even be
on,
able to see
okay?
it'll be
weave
seamless, y'all.
will get better.
Y'all be like, is that their real hair?
Yeah, it'll be seamless.
Is that their
Lace
real
front.
hair?
So
Lace front.
we're gonna come up with a catchy ending. But thanks for hanging in there with us. Please share our podcast with as many people as you know, and we look forward to hearing from you on social media. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
That's our catchy ending.
Bye.
Bye.